Live in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for Elevating Your Career into IT Leadership. This is a presentation I've been fortunate enough to give a few times this year to the SQL Saturday and Data Saturday communities, and I like this presentation. It's kind of a cool one because I find it grows with me. But when I gave this presentation last, I think it was like 3 weeks ago at the Data Geeks in South Florida, there was the presenter that was presenting after me on networking. His name was Ray Kim. He brought up an interesting point that I hadn't really emphasized prior to that. I kind of thought it went unsaid, but he did bring up a really good point that for him, you know, he was done with the ladder. He had already climbed to where he wanted to in his career, and he was happy with where he was at professionally. And to him, it was about leading where he was at. And I think that's a really important distinction, that we need to expand our thinking of leadership to more than just say a title. We're vying for that next promotion. There's a lot to be said for leading where you're at. And you know, being that leader means building up a strong team of you know, developers or you know, people around you to help support you and help deliver better projects. And it feels good to help others realize their career goals and to give back and to help out. And ultimately, it makes your life easier as well. When you have a strong team around you, your job becomes infinitely easier. So my feel is this is something we can all learn from and we can all lean into regardless of our career ambitions. So real quick, a little bit about me. My name is Mark Runyon. I am a director of consulting with Improving out of our Atlanta office. I do frequently write for both InformationWeek and the Enterprisers Project. I mainly write around topics to do with IT management. So I do have two articles coming up, one around how leaders can be more effective listeners, as well as how leaders can judge the health of our IT departments, which is a very relevant topic these days with the Great Resignation, as I've heard it stated. Very challenging to help grow our people and keep them satisfied in an environment that is very different from what we've traditionally thought of. I also run this series right here, our Improving Talks series, and we've got some great talks coming up for you. Next week, Blake McMillan will be talking Kanban Uncomplicated. In 2 weeks, we have Richard Fox. He will be talking Elevating Business Through Conscious Capitalism. And in 3 weeks, Preston Masarvi will be talking to us about what application developers need to know about data. So 3 great talks. Please, you can register right away. Pages are out there on improving.com/virtual-events. So I recommend check all those out and bookmark that page. We've always had new talks getting posted. So definitely check back in with us and hopefully you'll find something that really strikes you. So as far as our topic goes today, my kind of credibility in this area comes from working with 6 individuals through our Path Coaching Initiative. And that is kind of the common thread that goes throughout this. There's lots of things that I've learned through being on both sides of that path equation, you know, being coached and helping others out that have helped kind of form these ideas and pull this together. So, and I am also the technical lead on a team of 14 at my client. And although I've made my career in tech, my first love was not technology, it was actually psychology. I was much more interested in how humans ticked before I was concerned about how computers worked. So diving into leadership has allowed me to exercise the other side of my brain and really kind of bring my interests full circle. So that's been kind of cool from a career aspect for me. So to start with, we need to ask the most basic question there is. Do you really want this? This quote right here came from one of my clients, VP of software development. As I was starting to grow in my leadership role on my account and take on more responsibility, he sat me down one day and said, you know, are you sure you really want this? Some days I wish I was out there on the floor, head buried in my problems and not dealing with everybody else's. And to his credit, this kind of sums up leadership very succinctly. You have to be willing to take on the world's problems and not just be buried in your own. What does that look like? Maybe your team has a missed deliverable. You have to go own that with the partner. You have to be the face and explain why you weren't able to deliver. Maybe there's a conflict within your team. Two people just don't get along. They're oil and water. And if we don't resolve that problem, it could potentially spill out and affect the productivity and health of the team as a whole. How do we deal with that situation? What does that look like? Also, maybe you have an all-star on your team, somebody who just outperforms consistently, but all of a sudden they're in a slump. What's going on there? How do we motivate them? How do we get them back on track? What's the core of the problem? Is this something we can help with? Is there somewhere we can help them get back on track? So, obviously tip of the iceberg kind of stuff, but it's a different way of looking at a traditional technology position. There's a different skill set needed to tackle these different issues. And for some of us that are kind of very driven, usually that kind of describes people that are seeking those promotions, climbing the corporate ladder. This can be kind of difficult to make it not about you anymore. It's not about if you succeed, your success is really pinned to, does my team succeed? Or do they have the tools necessary to do their job most effectively? And you may get to the end of this presentation and be like, wow, that was interesting, but it's not for me. And that's okay. This isn't everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I would consider that an hour well spent to kind of dive into this area and figure out, is this a career path that I'm interested in finding out more about, that I'm interested in pursuing? So again, no shame in admitting that it's not for you, but for those that do find this interesting, it can be very rewarding. So first of all, we need to ask, where do we start? So this is not an instant thing. This is a long-term goal. We're not walking into our manager's office today and saying, okay, heard this great improving talk, and I've decided I want to run a team. Okay, fine. It's something we can work towards. It's not something that Monday morning you're going to walk in the door and have a team assigned to you. It is a process. You have to be ready to lead. If you do find a team assigned to you Monday morning, I would be very, very afraid, very worried, because the leadership vacuum in your company is very large. So I hope that does not apply to you. Our agenda for today, we're going to talk about 6 essential steps to convince your organization that you are cut out for leadership, that you're ready for that responsibility. And we're also going to look at some practical ways to achieve that goal, to get there. There's going to be hurdles stacked up all along the way, and we can prepare for them. We can recognize when these hurdles are coming around the corner and ways to effectively deal with them so they don't block us from getting to our end goal. So probably first and foremost, we always need to exceed expectations in what we are already doing. So say you were the manager of a team and you have one individual who is late on their assignments, they're frequently cutting corners, and they're just generally unreliable. And then they come to you one day and ask for a promotion. I want more responsibility. What are you going to say to this individual? There's nothing in their track record that spells that they're going to have success at the next level because they're not succeeding at their current level. So if you turn that mirror back around on yourself, we need to excel where we're at before we can hope to take on whatever that next thing is for us. And I'm not talking about succeeding today. I'm not talking about succeeding this week. This is something we strive to live into every single day on the job and in our current role. This is something we definitely want to live into. And we always need to be growing ourselves. So if you're a data professional, you should strive to be the best DBA or data engineer that you can be, keeping up to date with whatever the latest technology trends are, learning how the best innovative solutions to bring to the table for your department, for your company, and really excelling and being that all-star on your team. And lastly, we need to think outside of just our IT department when we are looking to go above and beyond. We need to understand our organization. We need to interface with the finance department, with HR, with our quality control group. We need to understand their pain points. Where are the sore spots within our organization that we can potentially step up and offer solutions to, so that our scope of influence is not just isolated to our IT team, but we are really making an impact throughout the organization and really adding value wherever we go and whatever we touch. And there was one interesting piece of this, as we're kind of creating this value, sometimes you may think to yourself, okay, am I trying to make myself indispensable? And that's really has always been my approach as being a consultant. Walking into a new client, my goal is to never leave. I mean, I've been on my current client for 5 years now, so I guess I did accomplish that somewhere along the way. But being indispensable is not necessarily your end goal, because the problem is you can wedge yourself in so deep that it's very difficult to get out of that situation. If you are so good at doing what you do, management may think it's going to be too tough to wedge them out of there. They're so important to that one essential role in our organization. We need them to stay there. So in those situations, it's very important to help build up the team around you so that you don't just get stuck in this position that nobody can fathom of you leaving ever. So we've established that we need to be basically the best developer, the best project manager, whatever that role may be that we're currently playing. But it goes beyond that. We need to make our intentions clear of what we see for our career goals. We need to talk to our manager, our leader, whoever we're working with on a daily basis, and help them understand that this is not the end of my path. I have greater ambitions for myself. I would like to run this team one day. I would like to be the VP of this department, and help them understand that these are my career goals and this is what I'm working towards. And when you do that, you help get them out of the mindset of this person is really great at what they do, but they have no desire to do anything else. I mean, we all know those team members. They're awesome team members. They are a pivotal part of every organization, but some people just don't have any desire to do more than what they do. They're happy writing those SQL queries, tuning those databases, whatever it may be. That is just their bread and butter, and they want to just focus on that. And that's great. But you need to make sure that your manager knows that this is not my end goal. This is only a step along my eventual path. So that serves two purposes. One, we are setting that expectations, but we are also making our manager an active participant in our success. So when we're asking them to help us work to this goal, we are asking them, help us see the deficiencies that are within me. What are the things that I need to work on to make this vision a reality? And what are those steps that I can take that I'm just not seeing? That this isn't a path that I've walked before. You've been there, you've done that. Help me develop a plan that's going to get me to this eventual goal. And by making them an active participant in your success, then you are helping them tell the story of whatever that pitch is at the end of the day, that you deserve to be that team lead or whatever that role is you're going for. You have that person in your corner working with you to make that goal a reality. Next, networking. And when we talk about networking, somebody groaned a little bit about this topic, because I know there's a lot of IT professionals out there that are a bit introverted. Maybe you're soft-spoken. Maybe you tend to be isolated. That's okay. I consider myself, one or more of these myself most days. So it's not necessarily something that comes naturally to all of us, and that's okay. There's going to be places throughout you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone and grow yourself professionally. And this may be one of those things for you. And it may be a challenge, something you're going to have to work on. But we're not necessarily talking about, going to a Chamber of Commerce events where you don't know anybody and you're just trying to strike up conversation with random strangers. We're more talking about getting to know the people that are in your space, trying to expand your influence and understand, what are those challenges that are really affecting the HR department. I'm a good example. As we just stated, I'm the coordinator for this Improving Talk series. If I was the guy who sat in the corner and didn't talk to anybody, then I go and ask a favor of somebody, hey, can you talk next week on X topic? I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of takers. It's very critical that I have communication skills, that I can interact with people, and that I can make friends, so that I can run this initiative and we have content to serve up to you every week. So these communication skills are critical to being a leader. It's not something you can overlook or something you can skip by. And I will tell you that the more you force yourself to do it, the easier it's going to become. It is one of those things you can get past if this is difficult for you. And we need to understand a little bit of psychology when we're dealing with people. It's very, very important aspect of this. So we need to understand what motivates people, what drives their actions. Why did they react the way that they did? By being able to back into this, we can become more effective in what we do. And if this isn't something that comes naturally for you, there's a few books that might be helpful. The Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is a great one. It's been out forever. Daniel Pink has a couple books, Never Eat Alone and To Sell Is Human. They're also very good. And we're talking about selling. We're not talking about selling a service or selling computer equipment. We're talking about selling yourself. It's having that confidence within yourself to deal with these uncomfortable situations and not let them be a barrier to your success. So next we need to show initiative. Nobody's going to come and give you anything. You need to actively seek out these paths that are going to help you get to where you want to go. There's opportunity around you everywhere. You just need to train yourself to look for it. Where are the places that you can show value? Where can you make an impact? Showing that initiative is not necessarily about being a fountain of great ideas. This could be reaching out to your manager and just saying, hey, where can I give you some help? Where can I assist you? Maybe they're working on a big presentation for the executive board next week. How can I help you? What can I put together for you to take some of this work off of your plate? Maybe they are searching for a new cloud service provider. Can I do the legwork? Can I do the research and understand, of these three options that we're considering, which one makes the most sense for our environment, our ecosystem? And by jumping in and helping out with these next level tasks, you're showing success in these very critical leadership functions that you're going to need to have at that next level. And you are showing that you are ready for these responsibilities. And we mentioned the first slide in our essentials here about being that all-star where you are. It's important to know that when you're taking on these additional responsibilities, we can't let go of the great things that we're already doing. We have to balance those things with our new responsibilities. Some organizations will give you the time and the bandwidth to work on these new things and explore. Some won't. And you have to put in that extra time, put in that extra effort to find that balance, to do extra work and make this a priority so you see your end goal realized. I think of it as having an organizational MBA. This is invaluable training that you're not going to get anywhere else, and it's going to help you get to where you want to go. So you have to decide, is this worth the time and effort that I need to put into this to realize that end goal that I'm trying to see? We also need to practice self-promotion. So I guess it was about 2 years ago, Innovative Architects, which I originally worked with, merged with Improving. And we were Innovative Architects. We were a fairly flat organization. And being that flat organization, there wasn't really much to strive for. There wasn't those avenues to, if I work, I can get to here. You're kind of stuck where you're at, and that was a little frustrating for me. But once we became Improving, there was all of these initiatives, all of these things that I could get involved with, and that was just music to my ears. I had been wanting that for basically the point I had joined Innovative Architects years before. So I jumped in and I was contributing wherever I could and trying to make an impact. But I was getting a little frustrated because people weren't seeing all of the great things that I was doing. And there's this old saying that if the tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. It very much applies to the great things you are doing within your organization. It's very incumbent upon you to broadcast these things and let those critical decision makers within your organization know all of the great things that you are doing. Now, this thought of trumpeting your accomplishments probably seems unnatural for many of you, and it's certainly outside your comfort zone. And that's understandable. And we need to shift that conversation a bit and how we look at it and how we think of it. It's not necessarily talking about how great I am and all the things that I'm doing, but more so we are approaching that conversation as strategic. Here are the things that I am involved in to help our company, and the great things you're doing should be shining through, within those talks. So once you're having these meetings with, whoever it is you're working with, your boss, your manager, figure out what vehicle works for that communication. So it could be a one-on-one meeting, it could be a status report. Figure out what cadence and what medium works best for that. So in my world, I work with my VP and we meet twice a month. We'll sit down for 30 minutes over a Zoom call and we'll talk about things that are going on with my people, initiatives that I'm working on, concerns that I may have about things I'm seeing in the organization, and really trying to get his feedback on these things that I'm in the middle of and I may be struggling with, or bringing up some successes that may have come up. I also, on the flip side of that, our president, he is an extremely busy individual. Grabbing 5 minutes with him, in the hallway, sometimes that's the best you're going to get for that week. But that's okay. You realize there are time constraints and you work within them. So I found that a monthly status report can be really helpful when interacting with him. And this could be things like, outlining a few things that I'm working on, and it usually leads to a question. Can I get your opinion on this? I'd love your thoughts on this. And really, we're trying to use them as a soundboard, that second set of eyes, to understand, are we still on the right path? We need to get feedback for the things we're doing. Because it would be awful if we spend a year, going in this direction, only to find out that a year ago we should have pivoted and gone this other direction. So again, we are making them an active participant in our success, and their feedback is extremely important in getting us to where we're trying to go. Next is mentorship. This is something I feel very strongly about. I have actually developed a talk completely around this. I gave it last year during this series, so it's up on our YouTube channel. But you can also check this talk. I'm going to be giving it at the PASS Summit in November, I believe November 12th. And it's free and virtual if you'd like to sign up. But mentorship can be a very much a difference maker when it comes to taking steps into leadership. And I'm not talking about a one-way street where you just have a mentor and they are helping you to get to that goal, but you should be trying to mentor others as well. So giving back as well as receiving. So this can be a very critical piece in your kind of leadership puzzle, if you will. They can help you out with this path that you're trying to map out to get to that longer term goal. They can be that soundboard. They can show you the pitfalls and the traps that you're going to fall into along this path. And really, when we're looking to choose a mentor, we're trying to find somebody that we look up to, that has already gotten to the place that we're trying to go. Somebody that we admire, that we would love their input on these challenges that are facing us. It's an invaluable perspective that really you can't get anywhere else. But the flip side of that equation too is that leaders are not born. This is a skill you have to develop like any other, and helping mentor other people is a great first step in developing those leadership skills. And this could be, it doesn't even need to have a title. It could be you're mentoring, say, a junior developer within your department that you think has promise and that you really believe in, and you want to help them get to wherever they're trying to go as a technologist, as a team member. So trying to find ways you can help them out in whatever steps they are taking. And it doesn't necessarily have to fall into a professional context. Maybe when you're thinking of mentorship, maybe you are thinking maybe of being a big brother or a big sister, Boys and Girls Club type organization. That is a great outlet for this as well. So find the outlet that works best for you, because this can be very rewarding. And finally, lots of companies do have mentorship programs within them. So talk to your leader, talk to your HR department. And if they don't, then it's really up to you. I'd suggest kind of going through your Facebook or your LinkedIn feed and trying to figure out, all these people that I've worked with or interfaced with in the past, who would be a good fit for that? Who would I like to have that conversation with and potentially engage them for this role? It takes a little bit of extra work, but definitely worth the time for your career development. So next, we need to have realistic expectations. When we're on our journey towards leadership, we don't have a checklist. We're not just going down the line and saying, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. All right, I'm ready for my promotion. I'm ready for my next role. It's usually never cut and dry. There's usually some discretion by senior management to say, are you actually ready to take that next step? And that's why it can be really important to have these check-ins and have those conversations with those people to understand, am I still on the right track? These boxes that I'm checking off, should I still be checking them off? Or should I be focused on these other things over here we haven't even discussed? By staying in sync, then you can understand that there are still things that are missing. There's still things that I need to work on to bridge that gap and to ready myself for that role that I'm looking to take on. This quote right here is actually from our managing director of our North region. He told it to me very early in my improving days, and it really struck with me to this day. He said that you should be working at that next level for 6 months before you're promoted. And that goes into what we were talking about, that sustained behavior. This is something we're living into. This is not an occasional act. We are showing success within that role. And so our success in that position is pretty much guaranteed. The organization is taking no risk on their part because I've already been vetted. They know that I could be successful in doing this. So it really should never be a question of whether you're ready. I'm ready. I've already succeeded here. So, we always need to think of this as an iterative approach. We're continually seeking feedback. We're altering our approach. We're getting to the place that we're trying to go. So next is SMART goals. When we are thinking about this path, to me, if I'm sitting here thinking of a goal that is a year away, 3 years away, 5 years away, that seems daunting. I can't wrap my mind, much less my head. I can't wrap anything around trying to figure out how I'm going to get to this very abstract goal that's sitting out here in the future. SMART goals are a way to help us get there. Finding success kind of small chunks at a time that help us move us along the way towards that longer goal, and helping us have success in these nice little digestible chunks that prepare us for that longer term goal. So for me, one of my goals last year, interestingly enough, was to become a better public speaker. And my goal was to speak at, as many conferences as I could in the Atlanta area. That was in January, pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and I figured, okay, that goal is not going to come true. But a funny thing happened. All these conferences started going virtual, and then I had the option of speaking at one a month, and that's what I ended up doing. But I had the chance to really kind of dive in and accomplish that goal, and through SMART goals, really kind of see my way along and see it accomplished. So SMART goals are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. So this conference that I talked to a few weeks ago is called Data Geek Saturday, and if my goal was to become a better public speaker, that is a great place to, to cut my teeth, to try this out, to grow my skills. So this might have been a SMART goal for myself, say 2 weeks or 2 months before that event. It is very specific. I'm giving myself, I want to speak at this conference. It's very measurable. Either I spoke at that conference or I did not. It is achievable. I will tell you, if you submit 3 intriguing topics to most lower to mid-level conferences, you probably have a pretty decent shot of getting picked. It's very relevant. Speaking at that conference is a kind of critical piece to making sure I am both comfortable and confident within public speaking, and it is time bound. We know it's 2 months out, so it's not way off in the future. It's not 6 months out, and we're not forgetting about it until it's 2 weeks away. So this, in a nice little packaged piece, is a SMART goal. We give that talk. We have achieved something. We have kind of put that one brick on the wall and helped get us to that longer term goal of becoming a better public speaker. And to that end, I will suggest to anybody who's trying to get in a leadership position, public speaking is a very critical piece of that, being able to communicate, to get your ideas across, to talk to a group. These are essential pieces to your everyday, so I would definitely recommend leaning into that. With SMART goals, I really like to set them on a quarterly basis because it's enough time for you to get into that goal and really achieve something, but not short enough that you're trying to cram too much into too short of a space. Kind of easily digestible. And once we've accomplished that, we can see this incremental change happening. We can see these little bits of improvement kind of building upon each other until we see ourselves as a more accomplished communicator. So we've mentioned it a few times around getting outside your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is that warm blanket. It is that familiarity, it's safety, it's security. You are very emotionally even in that state. Nothing is challenging you. That's a tough place to be in when you're trying to promote change within yourself and to get to that next goal or that next thing you're trying to achieve. To grow professionally, we can't camp out in that comfort zone. It is going to squash our growth. So we need to take these fears head on. Maybe we do have a fear of public speaking. We need to understand what's going on inside my body when it gets all keyed up, and I want to get out of this situation because the fear is getting the better of me. It's that basic fight or flight response, and there are things we can do to help counter that, as far as breathing exercises, visualization exercises, as far as seeing yourself have success in that situation, or seeing the worst case scenarios. What are these worst case scenarios? Can I prepare on the front end to ensure that once I'm in that situation, there's really nothing that can trip me up. There's nothing that can set me back. So there are things we can do to counter those fears. And there are two great quotes from Eleanor Roosevelt. Do one thing every day that scares you, as well as you gain courage, strength, and confidence each time you stop and look fear in the face. You must do that thing which you cannot do. We constantly need to be challenging ourselves. We need to be getting outside of our comfort zone. Every good leader needs this. And there is risk involved here. Don't kid yourself. When there's change, there is risk. There will be failure. You will fail sometimes. And think of failure, by this acronym, your first attempt in learning. Failures are things to learn from. They are stepping stones to get you to that eventual success. So don't let that fear of failure prevent you from trying, prevent you from taking on that really hard thing that you just don't think you can do. You will find success. You just have to figure out what that looks like. And it may not be your first time. And at the end, we do need to embrace that change. Leadership is a very change position. We need to understand that. We need to embrace it and take that head on. So there are going to be 100 reasons why you can't do this. Here are 3 that that have come up for me. You've got to be kidding me. I have no time for this. I am no stranger to the time constraint department. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old who very much like having daddy around, and I like being around. So I very much compartmentalize my life that at 4, as long as I don't have meetings bleeding in, at 4 o'clock I am off for the day and I am with them. And come about, let's say 10 o'clock, I break again and I go back and get some stuff done for the client or for improving in that last 2-hour block before I call it a night. That's the rhythm that works best for me. I have found that time management strategies are critical to making the most out of every minute and every day to make sure I accomplish the things that I'm trying to do. But you have to figure out what works for you. The time is usually there. You just have to figure out where it is and how to take advantage of it. Next, my brain hurts. This is too much. I don't know where to start. That's what we were talking about, SMART goals. They can kind of give you those building blocks of here are the things that I need to do to get to that goal. And it also goes back to the conversation of making your manager, your leader, a part of your success. Talk with them, help them let you understand what are the challenges you're facing, where are the places that you need to grow, and by having these conversations, that path starts naturally forming, and you start seeing, okay, these are the things that I need to do, these are the steps that I need to take to get where I'm trying to go. Obviously, we have to have that input, and if that's not coming from a manager, that's a great place for, say, a mentor to lean in and help you out as well. Lastly, I'm really busy with my underwater basket weaving class. Maybe I'll get involved in this next quarter. The funny thing here, when you put something off to another day, usually it doesn't happen. It's all about priorities. What are you prioritizing? Is your career development a priority for you? If no one's asking you to neglect your family or your favorite hobby or anything else, but at the end of the day, you have to decide, is this something that I want for myself? Do I want professionally? If you think of yourself 10 years in the future, looking back and having regret that you didn't take that path, that you didn't make time for that thing, that's gonna be a rough place to be. So you really have to do that soul searching within yourself and say, is this professional goal worth shuffling a few things around in my life, putting some time management pieces in place to help me get to that eventual goal? And if it is a priority for you, then you will thank yourself for it those many years in the future. But it's a tough thing living with regret. I know I wouldn't be satisfied if I hadn't gone down this path, if I hadn't taken on that goal, accomplished the things that I have. It would have been tough for me, and I know there's a few of you out there that probably say the same thing. So that brings us full circle back to our original question. Is leadership right for you? So in my experience, leadership has been a very rewarding journey. It's really cool. I mean, I can trace organizational success back through the things that I have been involved in and the actions that I have taken, and that's really cool for me. To know that I'm making that impact and I'm adding that value. And it's cool seeing team members have fulfillment within their work. If they feel like they're punching a clock, then I failed. There's somewhere that I didn't connect, and I'm certainly not perfect, but I do strive to be better in this area. With every interaction and as time goes by. And this leadership trajectory is not, I'm not at the end of this trajectory. I'm still growing. I'm still on this path. So, and I really wouldn't have done it any other way. So these questions that you need to ask yourself, are you willing to put in that additional work to gain this skill set? So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, if I get into leadership, then I can get off this hamster wheel that is technology, and I don't have to keep up with the latest and greatest trends. That may be true, that may be not, but you're never going to stop learning. You're never going to. This isn't an end road. There are new skills to develop as a leader that are going to supplement the skills that you already have. Next, we need to say, do you enjoy helping others? And do you enjoy seeing them improve, helping them to succeed? Are you willing to take a step back from the technology and taking that step up with them in the organization? And I do need to emphasize this is not always the case. Say you're a team lead. Now you're the go-to person for all things around, say, that technology base within your project. So you are very much involved with all the things technology. But if you have ambitions to, say, become a VP or a director or something higher in the organizational structure, usually you are taking a slightly step back in the technology, the day-to-day implementation, and it's more of I need to see the broader picture, that 10,000-foot view, and understand how the technology impacts the organization more so than what is this feature going to give us that we are getting ready to develop. And next, can you step outside your comfort zone to acquire the skills needed to be effective in this role? And there's one word I really want to point out within that sentence, and that is effective. And if you do choose to take this path, that's something I really want to challenge to you, is to be a good leader. We have all had bad managers, ineffective bosses. They are awful. They are productivity killers. They are these huge blockers that are in our way every time we turn around. Let's try to be better. Let's try to really make an impact. Show that value through being a leader. That is what I hope for all of us. All right, so this slide deck is actually up on my Twitter feed. ASP Programmer. It's very old school and retro. You can tell how long ago I locked down that handle, but I think it's 3 or 4 back. If you want to download it and check it out. 4 resources that I have included here. How to get your first job in IT leadership. That is an article that actually came out of this talk that I wrote for Enterprises Project probably about a year ago. The second one is the Countless Benefits of Mentoring presentation that I mentioned earlier. It's up on our YouTube channel right now. You can go check it out and hopefully get some deeper information on the mentoring side of things. If you want to find out more about SMART goals, there's an article there that gives you kind of an in-depth breakdown of how to use them, what they're all about, and how to really make them work for you. And then finally, 5 steps, 5 benefits of stepping outside your comfort zone. This was an article I ran across on Psychology Today that I thought really, really explored that area nicely. So that wraps us up. So right here is my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my email. I'd love to connect with all of you. And obviously, take whatever questions you have now, but if you have a question, say tomorrow or a month from now or a year from now, please reach out. I'd love to discuss with you. This is something that I view as very critical in your professional development. So I want to make sure that I'm available to you, and I'm a resource wherever I can help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. So from here, I will take any questions you have.
We have one question so far. If anyone else has questions, feel free to type them in. This question says, even when I do my job well and have a pretty good performance rating, how do you deal with a difficult or manipulated VP who is responsible for your future promotion? Do you have any tips with that?
That's an interesting one. So obviously developing, kind of going back to that networking aspect, developing as good of a relationship you can with them, and trying to understand, back to that psychology, what's behind that? Why do they feel the need to be manipulative? Do they feel challenged by you? That could be the case. There's usually something underlying that we can try to get at, and can we get them on our side and get them to help us? If we're trying to swim upstream all day long, it's going to get really tiring. So wherever we can find ways to make them part of our team, we really want to try to do that and make that happen. If not, then I would try to make every progress you can on that front, but you may come to the place where it's like, I've done everything I can. I don't see any other avenues, and this organization is keeping me from becoming fulfilled where I want to be. And maybe that's time to do some soul searching about, is this the right place for me? Or maybe it's something of, I'm under this VP, but I could transfer to this other team over here, work on this other project, and be under a different VP that I think that I really have a good rapport with and I can really work with. So I wouldn't let it be a dead end, but it is a challenge. I will give you that. Try to work within the balance that you can, and then barring that, try to see if there's other avenues you can explore to help you get where you need to go.
All right, I don't have any more questions.
All right. Well, I thank you all for joining us today. As I said, we have some great talks coming up in the future, so please check out that page, improving.com/virtual-events, and sign up for one of the next in our series. And I think we have a few more publishing in the coming weeks. I know we've got them set up, but I don't think we have pages up yet. So please join us for our future talks, and I hope you all have a great day and a great weekend, and hope to speak with you soon. Thank you.